Hey everyone, James Nussbaumer. Good morning, and thanks to coming to and participating in a webinar for a better life on figuring out what you want in life by, living according to your true free will and living according to what you really want in life. But uh, the power of the universal law of attraction I want to touch on. But before I go to all of this, I have to share a story with you. Um, to make it really a long story short, it's about a little boy, 8 years old, and it's in my neighborhood. The grandmother invited me over. She was reading my books, and she got to know me. And her daughter, which was there too, which was her son that was there. And the little boy's father had died like 2 years prior in a tragic automobile accident. So, but it seems the boy's very healthy and everything's fine there. And of course, there's still some heartache there, but I'm sure, and I could sense that too. But the little boy, it amazed me, and he's 8 years old, and he's not into sports because I, talked to him a little bit and everything. And he says, "Oh, you're an author, huh?" And I said, "Yeah." He says, "Well, my mom told me that maybe in a couple of years as I get older, I can read your books." But my mom said, "Probably for now, I won't understand it." And I said, "Oh, so we started talking. I said, what's going on with you?" He says, "Well, I'm just having a good time figuring things out. I'm not into sports." Because I asked him, because, when I was growing up at that age, I was into sports and so he said, "No, I'm not into sports. I'm just into figuring things out." I said, "Well, what do you mean?" He says, "Well, for example," and it doesn't make, like I said, I'm making a long story short. He says, "Did you ever think about the light in your refrigerator? Does it really go off?" And immediately I thought, didn't we think about this when we were kids? And I says, "I think the light does go off." And he goes, "Well, I think it does too." And so I said to him, I said, "Well, how do you know for sure that that light in the refrigerator goes off when the refrigerator door shuts?" He says, "Well, we all know that because there's that little button inside the door that you can open the door and push that little button on the side where the door comes, and you can see that the light goes off. So when the door closes, the button pushes in, and the light in the refrigerator goes off." And I said, "Well, but how do you know though that the door really pushes the button in far enough to where the light goes off in there?" And he says, "Well," he says, "that's why I wanted to tell you." He had a big smile on his face. He goes, "I did a little experiment." He says, "I got this little camera, and I put it inside my mom's refrigerator. And meanwhile, her mom was smiling, and the grandmother, who was about my age, was making coffee in a beautiful stainless steel coffee pot where they have their own filtered water that they buy in those big jugs, and crushes her own or grinds her own coffee beans and such. And then, so we were sipping on coffee in these really nice, elegant little cups, coffee cups that were it was just a treat. And she had some homemade apple danishes that she calls Dutch apple danishes. And oh, it was just such a tremendous thing. We're sitting there with the little boy. So, anyways, back up to the little boy. He says, "Yeah," he says, "I put a little camera in there." He says, "And I had hooked up to my Apple 11. He's got an Apple 11 iPhone, 8 years old." you know, and he says, "Yeah," and I hooked it up, and I found out. He goes, "That light does go out." And I said, "Well, but that's because you are seeing that through your phone and through your camera. But that's you." And so I said, "Well, let me ask you a question." And he was pretty. "What are you going to do with your life?" He says, "Well, I'm thinking about being a scientist." He goes, "Science is. I don't know what I'm going to do, but I'm going to be a scientist because I just like figuring things out." I said, "Well, getting back to that light and refrigerator thing," I said, "you say for sure that it went out. You had a camera in there that shows that the light went out in the refrigerator. So let's suppose you're in, let's suppose that, say in a forest, in a wooded area, a forest. There's a babbling brook going through. And the babbling brook is making a lot of sweet noises. It's tumbling over the rocks, the water, and it's moving gently towards wherever it's going. And then a tree falls down in the forest. But nobody's there to witness the tree falling down or the babbling brook. So is the babbling brook really making noise? And when the tree falls down, is there really sound? And the little boy, Eugene, I'll share his name, Eugene. Eugene says, oh, absolutely, there's sound. And I said, okay, well, how do you know? He goes, well, I could figure that out. He goes, all I have to do is just go into that area there where there's a brook and just hook up a recording device and, have that, wired in, internet through to my iPhone 11, and I could see, and then I'd be able to hear that, there is a babbling brook making noise, and the tree fell down, and it was. I said, okay, that's fine, But my point is though, what if you didn't have the microphone, the recording device there in the woods, the babbling brook going through, and the tree falling down, and you didn't have that, and you didn't have that recording device to listen and to know, how would you know? In fact, would the water even be moving in that babbling brook? Because how would you know if there was no, see now, and he said, he says, that's common sense. This really smart, intelligent little boy. And there's no doubt in my mind that Eugene is going to be some kind of dude when he grows up, we can say, that really figures things out. It could be whatever, but he's on the right track. And so he says, well, that would be, we all know. So I'm kind of like, stuttering. I don't really stutter, but just a little bit, just to give you some time to absorb what I just said. So anyways, to make a long story short again, I said to Eugene, don't you think maybe that microphone that you're going to hook up in the woods, that recording device that you're going to hook up in the woods to see if the babbling brook really is making noise when no one's there, don't you think that's an extension of you as a human body that's listening? I said, what if there was no man-made technology like devices like that when we're away from the woods that could listen in? How do we really know that the babbling brook is making a noise? So I think you're with me here in what I'm saying. And I reverted back to him because I wanted to get a smile. We were joking around having this tremendously strong coffee that his grandmother made, and the apple danishes with the sugar, and that just filled us up in all a happy mood. But so anyways, and I said, that's just kind of like the light in the refrigerator thing you're trying to figure out. Why don't you think about that a little further? And I kind of dumbfounded him a little bit there, where he was not, he was figuring. You could see his eyes were rolling around, and he was thinking. He was figuring things out. So here I describe today why an instant of going within oneself to begin figuring out what you want in life. Let's say your true calling is much better than none, wouldn't you think? Well, I'd like to begin by providing a definition of the power of the universal law of attraction. It's a popular word right now these days. But keep in mind, I study deep into the principles and lessons of A Course in Miracles. And A Course in Miracles states that, say to the Holy Spirit, decide for me, and it's done for you, whatever you're trying to accomplish and trying to figure out in life. The Holy Spirit is that connection within us that has no microphone, no recording device, no technology. It's the universe within us. So that said, the definition of how the natural power of attraction operates, and what is attraction principles? Okay, it's kind of like the oneness that the three of us felt. Well, actually four of us: Grandma, Mother, and Eugene, and myself, and with the apple danishes and the wonderful, crisp, clean, beautiful coffee that we had, and all of that, and it was that oneness we felt there. So, that's what attraction principles are all about. But it really is necessary that we understand that to get the life that we want in this world, that we have to trust in the power of the universe within us, not up there in the sky where we're looking at the wonder of the universe. That's a reflection from within us, I like to say, and which I detail in plenty of experiences in my book. So if you don't own a copy of my book series, I hope that you'll check that out. But this session today is just to give you some maybe shine some light through clouded thinking, so to speak, and just to get you thinking about when you're trying to figure things out, like little Eugene is doing. And so, yes, it is matching that. I guess we could say a vibration, 1,000-fold or more, all around the world when we're at one with one another and trying to figure out world peace, trying to figure out uh, uh, problems with our health concerns and all of this. But, as the meaning says, whether wanted or undesirable, figuring out what you want, we bring in more of whatever vibration, I guess we could say, that we provide in every instant. Don't you agree? For example, if you're having a hard time with life, don't you if you keep hounding yourself with those lacking thoughts, don't you bring in more of that kind of vibration, and then that just becomes you? And of course, we know this, and that's not what this webinar is about, but it's all about some food for thought to get the life you want instead of trying to figure it out. Let it arrive. There's a detailed article at my website I'd like you to get. It's just called Key in How to Get the Life That You Want. And there's plenty of those that I have. I've got thousands of articles at my blog, so I hope that you'll check that out. But let me move on and say that, when it concerns your vibrations, and I use vibrations, the word vibrations, because it's a word that, it's commonly used. I feel vibes and that kind of thing, that lingo that we seem to have. But the law of attraction is still taking note and operating in exactly the very same way in every instant of every day. But the power of attraction is you. It's nothing outside of you that you can bring to you. It's already there. And that's where we don't need to figure out what we want anymore, where we can tap into what we know what we want and then expect that to happen. So when we end up, being deliberate, I guess I could say, but yet natural about what we give our energy, our attention, and our focus to, we are practicing what the Holy Spirit would teach us to be the holy instant, the presence of the moment of the universe. Now, I use the word holy and Holy Spirit, holy instant, and if you know me from my books, and I like to write in those kind of universal, understood terms that we relate to our, human bodies in this world. But I like to say with the Holy Spirit is our oneness of attraction with our Creator. And the holy instant, is that, my friend Eckhart Tolle, a wonderful author of The Power of Now, talks about the present moment, the presence, experiencing presence, consciousness now. That's the holy instant. It's what's going on now. And I call it the holy instant because, well, that's what the Course of Miracles terms it. And I just kind of figured out, like Eugene, that, it made sense to me to just look at it that way. But a word is only a word. It can be the law of attraction. It can be the power of attraction. It can be the power of the universe. Words are just words. It's the feeling. So there's no figuring out that you need to do. It's just a matter of knowing where it is you want to go when you're trying to figure out your life. Well, I hope this makes sense. And this was not really today was not meant to, it just meant to be a little thought provoking and share that story with Eugene to hope that might trigger something in you when you're trying to figure things out. Until next time, James Nussbaumer, God bless.